I'm going to have to learn to time that better.
That was perfect.
I know.
You timed that perfectly.
No, me interrupting you with the intro. I got it right once.
Well, now that I know that that's your plan, I have to make sure.
But I'm the only one that knows when I'm going to hit the button.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I don't need that timer over there, pal.
Yes,
how
you
are you?
Clearly.
How are you, Rob?
I'm tired.
Why are you still tired?
Well, I don't know. I had a beer at a meeting a minute ago, and now it's...
You had a beer in a meeting? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it was over at Dakota Point. So we had a meeting with Carson.
You've been sitting in our aquarium for the last hour and a half.
Since I had a meeting with him at 2, and I had a meeting in here at 3.
Oh, so you're already lubed up and ready for a show, huh?
It was a small one.
Oh, all right. Well,
I didn't eat anything today, and it's
wearing on you.
Yeah.
Hey, really quick, big shout out to Tomas Gutierrez from Caesar's Spirits.
Yeah, he was nice enough to drop off a bottle of that Woodford Double Oak that we helped him pick out.
I totally forgot we had to pick it out.
Now, welcome to my world.
Oh, my God, I totally forgot about that.
Do you have people come up to you after listening to the podcast and go, "Hey, do you remember when you did the blah, 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 blah?"
All. But again, I've been in radio this time. Do you remember when you said...
Well, I'm like, no, I don't. Did we do that? I don't remember doing that.
Exactly. I have no clue.
My Jill, the girl from Austin, that is, I think maybe the one friend or one of a couple of friends that listens to all of these.
Yeah.
She goes, "Small town 11," sends me a text, just come out of context, 100%. "Small town 1100. How come you didn't mention Newell?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? What podcast was this?" And she goes, "The one with the Canadians." And I went, "Oh, the one that we recorded this afternoon." I'm like, I don't remember any of this.
Oh boy, that was funny. Speaking of that, that was such a great interview. Go back and listen to that podcast too if you haven't yet.
Well, skip the first part where
with the Arcana Kings. It was great.
Where was it John that went? He started out.
John started telling a really long story. But thing is, John's passionate about what he does, right? I mean, he is all in with what he does.
So are we, and we're all about drinking whiskey, and we had
to cut him off so we could start drinking a little.
We were throwing shout outs to his kindergarten music teacher.
Oh, it was great though. Those guys are so much fun. If you ever get a chance to see them live, do it. They're just a great band. Also, I guess this is just like the start to thank you for people.
You're welcome.
Not you. I want to thank everybody that came to the Jack Daniel's tasting up on the hill during the rally too.
Awesome, yeah.
And Johnny Teal.
John Teal did an amazing job.
Big shout out to him. He is the ambassador tour guide for Jack Daniel's, and he was nervous about it. I'm like, dude, you're a tour guide.
Yeah, he did a great job.
I
wish we could have done a podcast with him.
Yes.
But the story that I got was that he was not media trained.
I don't understand what that means.
Well, I'm sure Jack Daniel's has brand standards and don't want him saying something that's going to get recorded.
But he's a tour guide. So I mean, he would stick to the letter of the law of whatever Jack wanted him to talk about. Yeah, we're going to get him on.
I wish we could have got Kevin on there too, because I would love to know a little bit more about the science behind the barrels. We just couldn't
realize how busy that dude is.
Get a schedule. He was busy bringing people up to the tasting one person at a time, and
in a little
slingshot.
Slingshot, yeah, that was pretty good. And then one more shout out,
efficient mode of travel
to Bowser too for giving us that 99 Wayne Gretzky's whiskey from Canada that we surprised our Arcana Kings with on the last podcast. I saw him at Sturgis Liquor, and he's like, "Hey, I got an idea," and then he brings this bottle in. And let us have it. I thought that was pretty cool.
Let us open it.
Yeah, let us open it. Let us have it. It was
crazy.
Very cool. It was a fun week at the rally.
Payback for defacing us.
No kidding. I should have just kept the bottle. I took the bottle back because I was a nice guy. I should have kept the whole thing. Speaking of Jack Daniel's, did you see their 2024 Heroes Selection single barrel proof Tennessee rye that they released?
Nope.
This is chosen by U.S. Navy veteran and Jack Daniel's SVP General Manager Melvin Keebler. Did you know there was a Melvin Keebler that worked for Jack Daniel's?
Is he an elf?
I don't know. Maybe. This is between 125 and 140.
Oofta.
This has a grain bill, 70% rye, 18% corn, 12% malted barley.
I'm not sure I could do a rye that proof.
At that high?
But maybe the burn cuts out the rye.
Well, here's the cool thing about this. I have an in to get a bottle of this one. All right, because it's 750 ml bottle, $60.
Get 2.
Select military retail locations starting this month. So you've got to know somebody in the military. You got to be in the military. Wait a minute, we got 2 ins here, don't we?
You got to know somebody in the military at the base that has the allocation. Too.
Yes. So I'm gonna obviously.
This isn't bad.
Hold on, we're gonna get to that.
I know.
Ease up. We're gonna.
It took 4 sips, but
I know.
It's coming around.
Yeah. So I'll either send my mother-in-law out there, or of course our good buddy Gabe Aldridge, who is currently active military out at Ellsworth. We'll see if he can score about this.
We got all kinds of options at Ellsworth.
Who else do we have? Those are the only 2 I know.
Well, the John, the guy that was at the whiskey tasting with the nurses, he's out there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And I've got another buddy.
Okay. Well,
Jerry, he's a civilian now that works out there that could probably.
I guess I'm
us up if it's out there.
Super excited to try a rye whiskey that could be 140 proof.
That is interesting. Yeah.
Man.
If somebody goes out there, get 2.
Yeah, please do, because that's again.
That's always the answer. Get 2.
Always say yes. All right, we talked.
And if you say yes, get 2.
Remember when we talked about Mile High Spirits?
No.
That put that bourbon up into the stratosphere to see how it would affect the whiskey?
Not at all.
We did. We talked about this in a podcast. Again, right, I know. I'm doing what you said at the beginning of this. I'm asking, hey, do you remember when you said? You're telling me no.
Nope.
Mile High Spirits, Denver-based craft distillery.
Isn't it already a mile high if it's in Denver?
Fireside Bourbon. They put a small 3-gallon barrel on a balloon and put it up to 106,627 feet.
That is a very long string.
So that's about 4 times higher than you'd normally fly in a commercial aircraft. About 3.7 times higher.
How did they get it down?
Long rope. No, I don't know.
160,000 feet.
106,000.
106,000 feet. That thing would be over Kansas.
I don't know. I'm sure there's science somewhere in there, Rob. They call it the Strato whiskey.
3 gallons of it.
Yeah.
Wait, who are you going to share that with?
But here's so
you can share that with a quarterback room in Denver Broncos.
You're not going to share this with anybody because wait till I tell you how much it costs. They aged it then an additional 3 years post space trip. All right. So they sent it up.
How long was it in space?
It doesn't.
Like 20 minutes.
Oh, it's 5 hours.
Oh, I bet that really changed it.
Yeah. Listen to this, Rob.
Oh, I can't hardly wait.
The space whiskey, as they're calling it, exhibited a thicker mouthfeel and unique flavors, including bitter notes and metallic hints, which the distillery owner noted as unlike anything from traditional barrel aging on Earth. I guess bitter notes and metallic hints isn't going to sell me on a pour of this, though, is it?
No, how much is it?
$350 for a 50 milliliter sample.
Yeah, no.
And there are only 500 of these sets available. So all you get is a 50 milliliter sample. That's $350. I had a 50 millimeter bottle of Red Stag hardcore cider in my pocket.
It's milliliter.
Milliliter to show.
Millimeter.
I didn't mean to say millimeter. Milliliter.
So it's a shooter.
Yep, it's a shooter for $350.
Yeah, I'm good.
Let's see.
If somebody wants to pony up, let me know how it is. But other than that, I'm all right.
You're not going to try it? Okay.
Well, I'm not giving anybody $350 for a shot, even if something good. It sounds to me like it was bombarded with solar radiation or something, and it might kill you.
Oh, I'm sure.
Like,
you know what? I would pay.
You might turn into Spider-Man or something if you drink it.
So,
which would be cool, but
Windsor was charging what, like $350 for a pour of that Macallan 25, I think, something like that.
I don't know.
Now I'm wondering if I'd rather have a pour of this space whiskey or a pour of the Macallan 25. But then I think I've had the Macallan 30, so whatever. I'm cool.
What's that? That Redbreast is right up there too, isn't it?
Redbreast 27. I think it was. I think it was just
quite that bad.
Like 125 or something like that for that. I'd pay it in a second.
You aren't paying that in a second.
Well, the company might pay for it in a second. If I think about it
Not
for a
on
second.
my card. It didn't.
Hey, one other. I thought I came across these discontinued spirits.
That's what I have.
That's your empty bottles.
My spirit has been discontinued.
I didn't know some of these don't exist anymore. You know, Four Loko doesn't exist anymore.
Who?
Four Loko.
Didn't know that existed to begin with.
Yeah, it was a very famous caffeine. It was Red Bull times 10 with alcohol in it.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
Yeah, because it led to dangerous levels of binge drinking. And so,
well, yeah, because that's what you need is to be wired and drunk. It's like the Red Bull vodka crowd. Like, knock it off.
And Bacardi 151 doesn't exist anymore. Did you know that?
Were you a big 151 drinker?
Well, remember when they'd make the cool drinks with it and they'd set it on fire?
Yeah.
That was all 151.
We used Wild Turkey 101.
Is that light as well, though?
Yeah.
They did it because it had a high risk of injury and regulatory challenges due to its 75.5 ABV.
Well, it's because all these college students were lighting themselves on fire. Probably.
It's kind of what it had to have been. Bailey's.
We thought old Granddad 114 was discontinued too until you find it everywhere.
They lied to us about that. Bailey's made an Irish whiskey.
Kind of makes sense.
They test marketed it around 1997. Poor market reception and limited distribution led to Diageo discontinuing
How
it.
do you screw up an Irish whiskey? Those are all pretty smooth, aren't they?
Seems like it. I don't know. I don't know. That's just I can't. And Patron.
Stay in your lane, Bailey's.
Do you remember? Do you remember the Astro World tragedy that happened a couple years ago? The 2021 Astro World tragedy.
Was that like the three-colored
Travis
sucker
Scott?
thing?
Remember Travis Scott?
Those are
his festival.
Pops.
Yeah,
No.
Astro Pops, so totally different thing. There was an alcohol called Cacti Spiked Seltzer, made by Anheuser-Busch, and they halted it following the fatalities at Travis Scott's festival. He was associated with the brand, so they said, "Well, you killed some people, so
He killed them by drinking a cactus spiked seltzer." Or
that was his brand, and it was a big sponsor of this Astro World music event.
Somebody just happened to die at a concert, and
more than one.
This happened to be there. This was not the cause of death.
No, it wasn't the cause, but they said because it was associated with him and Astro World and the deaths, we're not going to make it anymore.
Well, don't you just put out a press release that says we are no longer associated with Travis Scott, and we apologize to all the people that are died at his concert? And I mean, was it any good?
I don't know, Rob. I never drank Cacti Spiked Seltzer, so.
Well, not even trying then, I guess.
Have you heard of Glenmorangie?
Yes.
The original.
I doubt two people named their stuff Glenmorangie. Seems like a hell of a coincidence, to be honest.
The Glenmorangie, the original, was replaced by a 12-year-old instead. Okay, by a 12-year-old expression instead. The Glenmorangie team decided that the 12-year-old version offered a superior flavor profile.
Which one do you want?
Making it a suitable replacement for the 10-year-old.
Go down to the second grade store and see what anyone will do.
The Glenmorangie original was a 10-year-old Scotch. They replaced it with a 12-year. That's what you get now.
Like seventh grader, maybe.
Oh, my God, stop it. Just stop it. Okay.
Well, words are important.
Get us canceled before you... All right. Okay. Let's do, in the second half here, what you and I are sipping on right now. Because, oh boy, there's history here, Rob. And you know how much I love to talk about that.
Yeah, wait till you see the video of you breaking the glass in the kitchen.
I'll tell you the horrors of trying to make this cocktail coming up. And we're back. Hello, Rob.
Hi, Mark. Federal, never mind.
There was... Hi, Mark, Federal Credit Union. I see what you did there.
That's a shame. They're not paying us.
No, they're not.
Back.
Yeah, we'll cut that out. For a while, until quite recently, I think, Sazerac Rye was a pretty allocated bottle of whiskey to find, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, it was hard to find.
Right.
It's since become
way more available.
Here, easier.
And it's around $30, $28 to $30 a bottle too, which is pretty good. Made by
that's a pretty good bottle too.
Sazerac Company.
As far as Sazerac Rye goes.
I got interested in the cocktail of the Sazerac because of this. Didn't know it was a cocktail. Was just looking into the history of Sazerac. Look what I found.
It turns out that they named the whole thing after this cocktail.
They did. You ready for this, Rob? Are you ready to get in the time machine?
Well, clearly, I've done less research than you and still know more.
This goes all the way back to the early 1800s.
In what, New Orleans?
Yeah, shut up and let me get to the part of the story. All right? It was made with Sazerac de Forge Alphys originally. It's a cognac.
Did you learn that while you were sitting outside of a castle?
No, this is. We didn't see any castles. Yeah, we did when we went
in
to France. Yeah, we did.
I would imagine.
We did more World War II stuff though in France because it was more interesting.
Even by accident,
you kind of bump into them.
A castle in France, wouldn't you?
The Sazerac de Forge Alphys brandy. No, I'm sorry, not cognac. It was brandy. That was the original version of the drink, the Sazerac. And it was, of course, created by one Antoine Pichot. Okay?
You're going to have to clean that mic when you're done.
Pichot was a Creole apothecary. He moved to New Orleans from Haiti in 1795. And by the early 1800s, he was making his own bitters using an old family recipe. And he used them in a toddy served to customers in his pharmacy on Royal Street in New Orleans.
So it was medicinal.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't know there was a difference between...
It's a little hard to tell if this is going to put me to sleep or if it's going to be you. So maybe it is used as a sleeping agent.
Did you know there was a difference from...
I love how you just ignore me.
I do.
You're like, oh,
I get it.
I'm not.
Look, here's what I'm letting happen here, Rob. I'm letting the people that are listening in on your little inside joke. Okay? So they're all laughing along with you. You're trying
to educate. I get
I'm trying to ignore you
freak over
as
here.
we go on.
All right, fine.
I didn't know there was a difference between bitters like this. So the normal Angostura bitters, which most people use in a lot of cocktails, I thought, well, that's what bitters are. Maybe there's just different brand names of them, right? Like there's different.
So how is this Peugeot bitters?
Peugeot's bitters are different in the sense that they're much sweeter than Angostura bitters.
Sweet bitters.
Sweet bitters, yeah. Which
as
I don't know.
As opposed to bitter bitters.
His concoction.
I don't want to be taught. Never mind.
No, okay. So the concoction he made with his bitters was a big hit in New Orleans, right? And I get to say another French word here.
Oh, good.
He served it in an egg cup, which is called a cocktail. Right? Now, what does that word sound like, Rob? Cocktail.
Sounds like what Chevy Chase called them people on.
No, that's John Cocktoaston.
Right.
No, what is a cocktail? What is it?
That's a bird from South America.
What word does that sound like we have today?
Cockatiel.
You're close.
Cocktail.
There you go. Nice.
Cockatiel was funnier, though.
They think that that's where the term cocktail came from. More funny. They think that that's where it came from. Cocktail, but there's three other places that the word cocktail could have come from. One's really disturbing that we've talked about once before.
Is this that one where he wants a fancy drink and then she ends up putting a tail feather in it?
Yeah, it was. That's a whole weird thing.
I want a fancy drink.
So they went from brandy to cognac as it got more popular in like 1859.
When did they go to rye?
Due to the phylloxera and epidemic devastating vineyards in France, brandy became scarce in 1870, which is also, I believe...
Because brandy is distilled wine, correct?
Yes.
Am I getting that right?
And if you also remember that...
And cognac is brandy from the cognac region of France.
Yes. Yes, I believe you're 100% accurate there. Remember when we talked about...
Jill's going to call me on it in about 20 minutes, so I better have it right. God, I can speak French, but I can't. Phylloxera.
Phylloxera epidemic, whatever. This also was...
That is a word that she will know, and...
Well, good. Remember when
being a scientist and all...
I don't know if we did a podcast about this, or if it was one of the very early ones where I was just doing the stories. Remember when Scotch used to be put in like fish head barrels?
Yeah. Huh?
Okay. This epidemic in France, they had all those barrels, but they couldn't put any wine in it. And so Scotland's like, hey, you know what we'd rather put our scotch in than fish head barrels? Why don't you guys give us some of those wine barrels? And that's kind of one of the boons, yeah.
Wow.
Also in the 1870s, when it went from brandy to rye, they decided to throw in this little alcoholic beverage called absinthe, right? Which for the longest time was illegal here in the United States because of dumb reasons.
Some made-up government
regulation. It was totally made up. Yes, exactly.
Kind of like a lot of the other made-up government regulations.
It was also Thomas Handy. You may be familiar with his bourbon.
He was the guy that was on, they did the Saturday Night Live skits on, right?
Jack Handy.
Oh.
Jack Handy was the Saturday Night Live sketch.
When I was a kid, we used to go visit Uncle Caveman. One time, he ate one of us. Later on, we found out he was a bear. See, Jill's going to get that reference. It's going to be great.
Okay. All right. God. Thomas Handy. He eventually owned the Sazerac Coffee House. He's the one that replaced cognac with the rye whiskey. And then he kept it with the absinthe and the Peugeots, though. Okay. So he started selling the Peugeot's bitters in 1878 commercially. Thomas Handy did. Now, we're going to jump to the 1880s, Rob.
That's not that big a jump.
With a guy named John Schiller, who was a bartender at the Sazerac House. He emphasized the switch to rye whiskey as well. So Thomas Handy started it. Schiller was like, this has to be made with rye.
This is better.
Yeah, we're not going back to cognac or brandy. So in 1912, absinthe was banned.
Did you try to make one with brandy?
No, I don't have any brandy. So I didn't try. We could, though. I would like to try with cognac, brandy, and rye whiskey to see what it does.
And brandy
they're similar, but they're still two very different things. I mean, bourbon and whiskey are kind of similar. Anyway, so absinthe was banned because they thought it was hallucinogenic. And
it's wormwood or something. Right?
Yeah, that's what it is. It was replaced with what's known as herb saint, which I had sent you on a wild goose chase to find, and we couldn't really.
I couldn't find
it anywhere.
So I just bought absinthe.
So herb saint replaced absinthe. So we're drinking it originally, like it was supposed to be done,
except for not brandy or cognac.
Right. Absinthe became legal in 2008.
Originally.
And the Louisiana legislature declared the Sazerac as the official cocktail of New Orleans in 2008.
Well, herb saint is also made by Sazerac.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And it's an absinthe.
Adjacent.
Right. It tastes like absinthe, but it's not technically absinthe. We are drinking real absinthe in this.
Yes.
So to make a Sazerac, it's 1.5 ounces. It's 1.5 ounces of rye.
One broken glass.
One broken glass. Because the ice was in there, and I thought, well, I'll just jam at it for a minute. And that didn't work.
So you ended
I
up
broke
with
the glass.
No ice at all.
Yeah, you don't put ice in it.
Why were you jamming it ice?
Because you put ice in the glass to chill the ice before you swirl the absinthe around it.
Fine.
So it's 1.5 ounces of rye. First you muddle sugar and three dashes of Peugeots.
Okay.
Muddle that. Then you pour the rye in. Stir that up. Then in your chilled glass, you pour in about 1/4 ounce of absinthe and just swirl it around until it covers all the inside of it. Then you dump the absinthe out. Then you pour your rye, sugar, and Peugeots into that cool glass and sip away, Rob.
Oh my God, that sounds like a lot of work.
It was a lot of work. I broke a glass and I used about almost over 1/3 of the bottle of the rye because I also poured out the wrong one instead of the absinthe. I poured out the rye mix that I'd already done.
This was your bottle of rye,
it was. It was my bottle. It wasn't yours.
Because there's not 1/3 of a bottle of rye in this glass.
No, not at all. It's only the cocktail itself.
Which was my original complaint when I walked in here, thinking we had to be in here for a half an hour, and you're giving me a sip.
The cocktail is just 1.5 ounces of liquid. That's all it is. That's a Sazerac. But it's pretty good. Those Peugeot bitters are
at first sip, it tastes like watered down Jägermeister. It has that anise.
Totally has that black licorice flavor.
And flavor to it. Upon the 4th sip, I'm thinking maybe they're right about the absinthe, and it is a hallucinant. No, I'm kidding. It's pretty good, but dude, that's a lot of work. Like, somebody else is making this for me.
Well, I can see. I would like to. And here's another thing. I had the sugar cubes in a little dish at home, in a little Pyrex dish. I forgot them. So the sugar that I'm using in here is sugar packets that we have in the break room too. That's equal to a sugar cube. I thought. Figured I was close.
You should have seen him running around the studio looking up, like, do you have a jigger?
I will.
I need a 1 ounce, a half ounce, and a quarter ounce measuring. I'm like,
and then I realized I had one in my backpack.
Do you know how I drink? I fill this up.
You don't at all. I get it.
I'm not measuring anything.
And the name Sazerac is derived from the name of the cognac. That's where the name Sazerac comes from.
It's not Jeff Sazerac.
It's not Jeff Sazerac, no.
You can say it with a French accent if you want.
The Peychaud's bitters are a secret family recipe. Only the family knows what's in those things.
I have no idea how to make bitters. Do you know how to make bitters?
I have no idea. I didn't realize until getting into this how much,
many of them there are.
How much alcohol.
Yeah, it's like
it's 70-80%. Yeah, 70-80 proof for bitters.
Well, that's different than percent.
I know. I meant to say
445 makes their own bitters.
We should learn how to do that, I think. Nah, let's not.
Somebody else is already doing it.
I know. Somebody else. Peychaud's is making it better than us.
Our own whiskey. Well, there's a lot of other people that are doing it a lot better than us. Apparently, some people can send it to space.
I haven't seen. I don't know too many places around here that make this cocktail though, and I wonder if it's because of the absinthe or the herb saint. If you want to make it correct, I like this. I really do. Can I buy your bottle of absinthe from you? You know, it had the spoon on there too. Did you see that?
It had a spoon in the thing.
On the outside of the box. How did you not notice it on the outside of the box?
I just was so excited to find absinthe for you that I just bought it.
Well, that makes me feel good. You were excited when you were thinking about me. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Less excited now that you're here. But, while I was 500 miles away and thinking about you, it was all right.
That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm
here for you. Little air hug.
No, not even an air hug.
Oh,
the Sazerac cocktail, everybody. Give it a try.
You should try it. I'm not ever making one, but it's pretty good.
I'll make some more for you, Rob.
We don't have enough glasses.